Paul Wisby here, and I have a quick lesson for you bass players on how to learn your arpeggios. Now, the biggest thing for me when learning to do these things was actually not to learn the shapes, but to actually understand the formula of how these things are built. So in order to do that, we first need to learn our major scale. Okay, so I'm going to do everything in the key of G today. So first of all, let's learn G major scale. So it starts on the bottom string, or the E string, on the 3rd fret, and we're going to play 3rd fret, that's G, 5th fret, that's A, change to the A string, 2nd fret B, 3rd fret C, 5th fret D, next string down, the D string, 2nd fret, that's an E, 4th fret, that's an F sharp, and 5th fret, that's a G. Let's try that again. So G, fret 3 on the E string, A, 5th fret on the E string, B, 2nd fret on the A string, C on the 3rd fret A string, D on the 5th fret A string, E on the 2nd fret D string, F sharp on the 4th fret D string, and G on the 5th fret D string. So ascending and descending. Okay, so now we've learnt our scale, we've got our building blocks of how to make all of our arpeggios. So if you're not sure what an arpeggio is loosely the notes of a chord played separately. So to make my major arpeggio, or my major chord if you like, I need the 1st, 3rd and 5th degree of the scale. So in other words, the first note, 1, 2, 3, the 3rd note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 5th note, okay? So those notes separately would be the 1st, the G, the 3rd, the B, and the 5th, the D. Now when playing arpeggios, until we get to a 9th arpeggio, we include the octave. So we want the 1st, 3rd, 5th, and the octave note. So that's my major arpeggio. To make my next arpeggio, the major 6, I simply add the next interval. So I want the root, the 3rd, the 5th, the 6th and the octave. So let's find the 6th interval of the scale. We'll play the scale and stop when we get to number 6. There it is, it's my E note. So I want the 1st, the G, the 3rd, the B, the D, the 5th and the E, which is the 6th, and then the octave of G. So my major 6 arpeggio is root, 3rd, 5th, 6th, octave. To make a major 7th arpeggio, I need all the ingredients that make the arpeggio major. So I need the 1st, the 3rd, the 5th, but I need to now add the 7th. So root, 3rd, 5th and the F sharp, the 7th note of the scale, and then my octave. To make a minor arpeggio, what I simply do now is I take the 3rd note and I flatten it. So the difference between major, this happy sound, is 1 note. It's my 1st, my 3rd is flattened. So I now have this. Now that is quite a stretch, moving that note back. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the flattened 3rd on the E string to make it a bit more accessible. So I'm going to have the 1st, that's my G, on the 3rd fret E string. The flattened 3rd, I've now put the B flat on the 6th fret E string. My 5th is in the same place. That's the D on the 5th fret A string, and then my octave underneath. I have the root, flat 3rd, 5th, octave, and that's how I play my minor arpeggio. Now to make it minor 6, we already know what the 6th degree of the scale is, but just to recap, there it is, it's my E note. If I add that to my arpeggio, I now have a minor 6, so it's root, flattened 3rd, 5th, minus 6 octave. To make a minus 7th arpeggio, I need to take the 7th interval of my scale and I need to flatten it. I need to move it back 1 fret. So first of all, I'll find the 7th, then I'll move it back 1 fret. So I'm adding an F in. So to make a minus 7th arpeggio, I need the 1st, flattened 3rd, 5th, flattened 7th, and then the octave for good measure. So I would have my G on the 3rd fret E string, my B flat on the 6th fret E string, my D on the 5th fret A string, my flattened 7th on the 3rd fret D string, and then my octave note. So one more time. So G, B flat, D, F, G, or root, flat 3rd, 5th, flat 7th, octave. And that's my minus 7 arpeggio. To make a dominant 7th arpeggio, so this is the kind of thing that we need for playing blues, this is very, very similar and almost, really closely related to the major. I need the root, the 3rd, the 5th, but that interval that makes it bluesy and dominant sounding is the 7th but flattened. So again, I'll double check, find the 7th interval, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I'll flatten it, I'll move it back, and then I will add that to my major arpeggio, and I've got my dominant 7. So the dominant 7 is root, 3rd, 5th, flattened 7th, octave. Or if you like, G on the 3rd fret E string, B on the 2nd fret A string, D on the 5th fret A string, F on the 3rd fret D string, and then G on the 5th fret D string. One more time. And that's how you do it.